Everybody knows about that bad energy that sits in the room when a lot of people don't like each other. What's going on, family? Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about managing conflicts and difficult conversations. Whether it's a work conflict or conversation, whether it's personal, friends, family, we all have to handle them in a similar way. Of course, you're not going to deal with the work person as if you would deal with family or friends, but you can take the same approach and maybe it'll help you deal with these conflicts on an easier level so that you don't have to overthink it and make it difficult on yourself. It's important to handle these things in a civil manner so you don't have to let it elevate and get to a point to where it's untamable. We can fix those things and we can do it early by working these different things in a constructive and productive manner, and maybe they'll help you. First thing we should do is prepare for it. We all have difficult conversations that we have to have at some point, and it's best to prepare yourself for it. Before you have a difficult conversation, it's important to prepare yourself mentally, simply because you don't want to go in there with a hot head and sit there and say the wrong thing to somebody and then elevate in a way that you don't really want it to. Take a few moments and reflect on the situation. Think about the feelings that arose throughout the situation and how you can communicate those in a way that's not offending the other person that you're trying to talk to. If you're trying to offend them, I don't know. But I suggest that you try to make it as cordial as possible just so you can make it as easy as possible. That's just my suggestion. While you're setting up for these conversations, it's important to approach the conversation with an open mind and an ear to listen. We're not always right in every situation. No matter how much we think we're right, we're usually not 100% right. There's something in that situation that we could have done better, or we could communicate it better. And I think we should take the time to listen to the other person to see where it is that we faulted and where they felt like we could have done better. A lot of the times we often feel like we have the upper hand. We are the ones that did nothing wrong. And that's just not the case. So come there with the ear to listen, at the same time with the open mind, so that you can grow from the situation, communicate the reason why you may be frustrated or upset at the same time. Get in a place that you can avoid distractions, where you won't see a lot of people going back and forth, TVs behind you. Try to find a place where y'all can actually look each other in the eye and really listen to each other and try to figure out what the situation is and how we can fix it and how we can move forward productively. It's important to eliminate distractions so that we can make sure that we're listening to each other, so that we're communicating in a way where I feel like the other person's points aren't invalid or my points aren't invalid, or somebody has an access to a place where they can just tune you out whenever they feel like they're not willing to listen, or vice versa. You should really acknowledge the other person's point of view. I think it's important because if you acknowledge the other person's point of view and validate the reason why they may feel a certain way, it often eases the tension. Or you could say, I completely understand where you're coming from. However, that's not where I was going with it. And I just hope that you can understand where I'm coming from in the future. There's many different ways you can communicate it and approach people in a way that doesn't sound as malicious. It's important to express your desires that you want to find a resolution. We all want to find an ending to this situation. We don't want it to linger and carry on. Everybody knows about that bad energy that sits in the room when a lot of people don't like it. I don't know about you, but I don't like it. So I like to go ahead and dead my situations as quickly as possible and get it figured out. Because have active listening in the situation. I think it's very important to let the person know that you are completely all ears when it comes to hearing what it is that they're trying to share with you. I think it's important in that way because it opens a great line of communication. At the same time, it helps that person get through their feelings a lot more so that they don't feel a certain amount of tension. It's important to do it because then you start to understand the other person's point of view. You understand where they're coming from and what was really frustrating them. Try to avoid interrupting people. I know we often feel like our points are more valid than the other ones and we want to hurry up and get a word in. Oftentimes you can just sit and listen. If you're active listening, then you can touch on all those points. And if you can't, it's good to have a notepad or something to write down or type in your notes and make them aware of what you're going to do so that you're able to touch on every single point that they're bringing up. I know a lot of people like to ramble and keep going on and on and on and on. But then you may not be able to get a point in. So it might be easier for you to go ahead and type it and write it down so that you can rebuttal or respond to what it is that they're raising their issues or concerns with. Ask clarifying questions to ensure you both are on the same page. It's very important so that it can be a nice smooth mediation so that we can get it figured out and get it done as quickly as possible. The more questions you ask, the more you get to the bottom of what it is that you did wrong, and at the same time you get to the bottom of what it is that made them so angry that makes them feel the way that they're feeling right now in this moment. It's important to find common ground. If you can find common ground in the situation, maybe you don't agree on the situation, but it is what it is, but you can agree to disagree. Or you might say, okay, I was wrong here and you were wrong there, and we can communicate better in the future, whatever it is, so that it's easy to compromise and that it's easy to have a nice fix and move on with your life and be better in the future. Focus on the areas where you both agree so you can use it as a starting point for finding a resolution. I think that's important. Those are the things that I feel like are very important when it comes to managing difficult conflicts or conversations. You have to really be willing to understand somebody and have an open mind and open ears. If you're not willing to understand somebody and see their point of view, then it makes it very difficult to actually find common ground in any type of situation. I feel like a lot of times that we often feel like we're right in all situations, then we oftentimes don't see the wrong that we do. And we have to be able to humble ourselves when going into these type of conversations so that everybody can find a middle ground, so that we can understand where each person is coming from. We have to understand the person's mindset in each situation at the same time so that we can see why it is that they got so frustrated or why we disagreed in that moment. What was that we could have done to fix it so that we can avoid this in the future? Maybe some of the conflicts that you're dealing with may not be able to have a resolution or resolve, but there's still different ways that you can go about it so that you don't have any major conflicts in the future. And if you have no resolve, it's best to just walk away and not move in that direction anymore. I know it may be difficult, but I think it's the best for us. It's easier not to be prideful and to move in a way to where you can just walk away and just be you at the end of the day. When you take your pride out of it, then you're able to move in a way to where this does no longer affect you and you're not worried about what the other person's doing. You can just wish them well and keep moving on with your life. We all want to come to some conclusion, some common ground in each conversation or conflict that we have, but it always doesn't work out that way. It's unfortunate, but it's life, and we have to understand that. All in all, when you have these conversations, have active listening, have an open mind, and be willing to hear the other person out, because their point is just as valid as your point. That's all that I have for you in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please share this video, and don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.